Okay, takes a second here to go live here in the Facebook group and YouTube and LinkedIn and my Facebook. So let's let that go live for a second. And then let's go live on IG and TikTok. And I'll actually move this in here for a second and then move it back. Just remind me to move it back when I do that. Okay, let's go live here. Oh, no, we got to change that. So we're going to go live on IG and we'll go live on TikTok. All right. So we are live. We're going live on seven different platforms. I love technology. So we're going live here on my desktop. We're using a device called StreamYard. So on my desktop, we're going live in our Facebook group, Sales Revolution. Got about 40,000 of you running around there. We're going live in the Facebook business page, about 90,000 of you in there. My Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're also going live on IG. I just checked IG. We have 230,000 followers. That thing has grown quickly. I didn't even have an IG account until about a year ago. And now we got 230,000 of you chasing me around there. And we're going live here on TikTok, which we just started about 5 months ago. Got about 55,000 of you on there. There you go. All right. So we're going to go over a subject today that I know all of you guys lose sales from every single week, every single month. And I get tired of you losing sales because I get tired of the complaints from people losing sales. If you're one of our clients, you wouldn't lose those sales, but that's a whole nother subject that maybe we can talk about sometime. So how many of you on here, and comment in the comment section, lose sales from the I need to talk with my spouse. You get to the end of your presentation. I need to talk. Well, this looks good, but I just need to talk with my spouse and I'll get back to you if I'm interested. In the comment section, write down me if you lose sales when the prospect says, I need to talk with my spouse, or I need to talk with my financial advisor. I need to talk with my uncle. I need to talk with my mom. I need to talk with my aunt. I need to talk with this person. Or if you're in B2B sales, you lose sales because you're like, well, I need to talk to XYZ and department head and we'll get back to you if we're interested. Or I need to talk with my boss and I'll get back to you if I'm interested. Or I need to talk with the CEO, the business owner, and I'll get back to you if I'm interested. Or I need to talk with the board and we'll get back to you if we're interested. Type in me if you lose sales to I need to talk with my spouse if you're in B2C sales, or if you're in B2B sales, I need to talk with my business partner, department head, legal, board, whatever. And then you just magically never hear back. If that's you, we're going to cover those two objections today. So you definitely, possibly, just going out on a limb, maybe should take notes today. Now, if you are brand new to our Facebook groups, watching me here or YouTube, or if you're brand new here on IG and you're following me, or LinkedIn or TikTok, whatever you guys, well, TikTok. I was going to call it a different name over there. My name is Jeremy Miner. I'm the chairman and founder of Seventh Level. We're an organization that trains salespeople exactly like you watching me here right now. So we train salespeople like you, sales professionals like you, executives like you, sales management leadership like you, entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches. Okay. Jean says, I don't want to say the F word, stand the spouse objection. She knows what I'm talking about there. All right. We're going to solve that for you today. Now, so we train coaches, salespeople, sales professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, B2C, B2B, it doesn't matter. We train in every industry at this point. And we train you and your teams how to use human behavior in your sales process. Certain skilled questions and techniques, yes, this will be recorded, Brandy, that work with human behavior rather than work against it. That might be important to possibly know that. Now, we have to teach you the right tone. How do you come across in your tone when you're asking questions? How do you bridge from question to question where it actually sounds natural and not sound like some scripted robot? Because if you sound like a robot, you know what happens. They emotionally shut down and they give you one or two word answers. And at the end, they say, I want to think it over, talk with my spouse or business partner. You never hear from them again. So how do you get the prospect to open up where they pull you in, rather than you trying to push and chase it? It makes selling so much easier and way more profitable and a lot more funner. Now, if you want to acquire the same skills that our clients have, tens of thousands of clients now at this point, okay, in the last 2 years, many of them are in the same exact industry that you're in right now, and they are making 2, 3, 5 times more than you are now. Not because they have cooler haircuts or they wear cooler clothes, or, they're bald or have hair, whatever. It's because they just have acquired more advanced skills than you. So you want to acquire those type of skills. You want to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions in your industry, or if you want to start making your first 15 or 20 or 30,000 every single month in your industry, or even higher with what you sell now, message me directly right now. So if you're on TikTok or IG, message me directly right now. Respond after. If you're on LinkedIn or the Facebook groups or Facebook, message me directly right now. If you're on YouTube, you can't message me, post hashtag NEPQ. And if you can't figure out how to message me, post hashtag NEPQ. Either myself or one of my stunt doubles will message you back some different training options, so you don't have to lose sales that you could be making, that our clients make every day, that sell exactly what you do right now. Okay. All right. Now let's get started, because nobody cares about me. Selfishly, you guys only care about yourself. I want you to go grab your phone. You know who I'm talking about. Go grab your phone down at the bottom. If you're on the live right now, post hashtag live. So if you're on the live right now, post hashtag live. And if you're on the replay, go post hashtag replay. So if you're on the live right now, go post hashtag live. I better see hundreds of hashtag lives. Okay. Hundreds of hashtag lives. Now I want each of you to smash the heart button, and I want each of you to smash the like button. So smash, I better see hundreds of smashed hearts and hundreds of smashed likes, or I'm warning you, it's 63 degrees here in Scottsdale. I'm going to go golf next door. Blake, get my clubs ready. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to go golf if I don't see hundreds of smashed likes, hundreds of smashed hearts for me to give you how to overcome this objection. All right, let's go. Let's do it. All right. Now I wrote out some questions for you to ask, and I'm going to show you how to do this on the whiteboard, the Vibe board right behind me here in my office. Blake, let's move the IG and the TikTok cameras over here so they can see us a little bit better. I'll be back, IG. Don't worry. We're not going to give up on you. Okay, that one's going to have to go there. Perfect. All right. All right. Whiteboard behind me. Let's go ahead and get started on this. I'm going to Professor Minor here. I always wanted to be a professor. Maybe I should be a professor in the next life. I don't know what's going on. All right. Now, a couple of things. I want to tell you first why you get the objection. So before I show you how to help with the prospect overcome it, let's find out what you're saying or not asking that's triggering uncertainty in the prospect's mind that's causing them to throw out that objection. Can they see me pretty clearly on these two phones? IG, especially IG.
I can't see that one, but this one.
Okay, it seems like they can see me pretty good on here. Okay, so what are we saying? What are we doing that's triggering uncertainty in the prospect's mind that's actually causing them to give this objection to you? Now, realize when the prospect. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to show you how to overcome the I want to talk with my spouse if you sell B2C, because that's an objection you'll always get. If you sell B2B, how do you overcome them when they say, I need to talk with the board more, I need to talk with the department head more, I need to talk with my business partner more? How do you wrap that up and get the decision makers on a call with you? Because there's a little bit of a difference there. We have to tweak that a little bit. So I'm going to address both of those. All right. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the spouse objection. Then I'm going to come over to the B2B side and talk about that objection that you get. It's a little bit different. Now, here's why you get it. Here's the main reason. It's because you haven't learned yet. You haven't learned yet how to build a big enough gap in the prospect's mind from where they are. We call that their current state compared to where they want that to be. We call that their future state, or not the future state, objective state. What is their future going to look like once all these newfound problems that you're questioning has allowed them to see they have, once those are actually solved? Because you haven't learned how to do that yet, okay? You haven't learned how to get them to see clearly the problems they have, and for them to feel enough urgency for them to want to solve and do something for that. Okay. That means you haven't built the gap yet. Okay. Don't know how to do that yet. So what's the gap in between? It's all these newfound problems that your advanced questioning, NEPQ, neuro-emotional persuasion questioning, has allowed them to see they have that they didn't know before they even got on that appointment with you, or outbound lead, inbound lead, doesn't matter. Now, the smaller the gap, because you don't know the right questions, and especially you don't know how to ask them. You don't know how to bridge from question to question. You don't know the tonality techniques that are very important for that. The smaller the gap, the more times you're going to get the, I want to talk with my spouse. I need to keep looking around. I want to think it over. I want to do more research. I need to talk with my business partners more. You're going to get more of that objection the smaller the gap is. You have to build a much larger gap. Okay. So because of that, sometimes they're just trying to get rid of you. So they don't feel that what you're saying is actually going to get them the results they want. Okay. Now, this is all whose responsibility? Ours, not the prospects. Okay. It's because our lack of questioning skills that we have not learned, our lack of bridging skills, verbal cues, tonality, that can all be fixed once you acquire and you implement neuro-emotional persuasion, which one's one of our clients, all right? Clarify and probe off their answers. So I need to talk to my spouse, just so everybody is aware, is not a real objection. And repeat that. When the prospect says, I need to talk with my spouse, that is not really the concern. They have a concern behind that, and you need to find out what their real concern is. Maybe they don't feel like they have enough time. Maybe they don't feel like they have the money or the budget. Maybe they you saw negative reviews about your company online. There could be a multitude of things. They're just not telling you that. They're just telling you, I need to think it over, or I need to talk with my spouse. That's not the real objection. That's probably 70%, 70 to 80% of the prospects you talk to are not giving you the real objection. That's the first reason. Now, the second reason is just logistical. Maybe the spouse is interested. They just have to talk to the other spouse to move around the funds. Okay. Sometimes it's just logistical. Sometimes 20 to 30% of the people fall in there. Okay. Now, based on how the call went, from their tonality, their body language, and the answers to your question will tell you where that person falls once you learn those skills. All right. Now, no matter which they fall into, your original action or reaction can be very similar. You simply want to first acknowledge what they said and then set up a time the next day, ideally a day or two, to talk again to either them or ideally both of them. Now, why would you not try to resolve that concern right when they say it? I'm going to show you why, and then I'm going to show you how to resolve it before you leave. Okay, so you can still close them. Then I'm going to show you the B2B example because it's a little bit different. Okay. First of all, we have to know how to disarm the prospect. Let me repeat that. We have to disarm the prospect. That means getting the prospect to let their guard down, to tell us what really is their concern. Why do they even need to talk with their spouse? Why do they even need to talk with their business partners more? Okay, if they've already talked with them some. There's a concern behind that. We have to get them to let us know what that concern is so we know how to resolve it. Okay, so if they're in the number one category and they're just saying, I need to talk with my spouse, not telling you what the real concern is, then you can help them overcome it in that actual call or meeting. But you first have to disarm them. Okay. Now, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to give you here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a generic example because we train 158 different industries. According to Forbes, guess how many industries there are on planet Earth? Only 158. It's crazy. I thought there's more. There's subsets at each of those, and we train in all those as well. So I'm going to show you a generic example so you can plug in what you sell to that. And then I'm going to show you 3 or 4 different, completely different industry specific examples so you can see how the formula works and apply it to what you do. Okay. Now, here we go. Prospect says, and I'm going to go here on the board here in a second, this sounds really good. Jeremy, but I just need to talk with my spouse because we make these decisions together as a family. First of all, you're going to say this. Okay. Everybody with me? Everybody follow me? Okay. Let me move this over a little bit so everybody can see. You're going to say, yeah, that's not a problem. Just going to agree with them. First of all, we have to get them to let their guard down. If we're like, but why do you need to talk with your spouse? You already said, but why do you need to talk to your spouse? I thought they would want you to. That just triggers more resistance. Okay. So you just agree. Yeah, that's not a problem. How does your spouse feel about you? Yeah, that's not a problem. How does your spouse, you could say wife, husband, whatever you want, depending on who they are. How does your spouse feel about you? And then repeat back what they said they wanted. Watch the formula here. This is very simple. Okay. Then I'm going to show you some industry specific examples so you can see how it works. I'm going to try to stay in the same frame here, right? Where everybody can see this. Yeah, that's not a problem, Jane. How does your husband feel about you? And then you repeat back what they said they wanted. Okay. Now, let's say after that, they say, well, I think that they would want me to do this, but I just need to ask them first, because that's typically what a lot of people will say. Okay. Now, sometimes people say, oh, I don't think they'd want me to do that. And that's a whole nother training I have to do for you, because there's different things you have to do there. Then you're going to say, well, okay, but what happens if you go to them and they don't want you to put in the funds so that you can, and then you repeat back the benefit of what they said they wanted. Okay. So, okay, but this is a consequence question. So you agree with them. Yeah, that's not a problem. How does your husband feel about you? And then repeat back what they said they wanted. Well, I don't know. I think they'd want me to do it. I'm not quite sure. Okay, but what happens if you go to them and they don't want you to get the funds so that you can, and repeat back what they said they wanted? See how that works? That's a consequence question. Hopefully everybody wrote that down real quick. Now let's go to the next thing because they're going to respond to that. Well, I understand, but I'm just not sure what they're going to say about this. Okay, but help me understand, Jane. Like, how will you blank, repeat back what they wanted? How will you blank if they don't let you get the funds so that you can repeat back the end result? Now, I'm going to show you some industry-specific examples so you can see how this plays out. But how will you blank, repeat back what they wanted, if they don't let you get the funds so that you can repeat back the end result? Like I said, I'm going to show you some different scenarios. Well, they might say something like this. Well, let's say if they come back, there could be 10 different things they say, but I'm going to give you an example of what some people say. But some people are like, yeah, I know. I know I need to do something about this. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do anything just because they said they know they need to do something, right? So I'm going to show you what to do that. So let's say like, Jeremy, I totally agree with you. I know I need to do something this. Then I might say, okay, but why now though? Like, why not push us down the road like some people would, and the situation gets even worse? Now, this is a generic example. We're not going to say in an industry specific example, and the situation gets even worse. We're going to plug in what the situation is, depending on what we sell. Okay. But why now though? Like, why not push it down the road like some people do, and the situation gets even worse? See, this is a generic example. We plug in an industry specific example, what the actual situation is, because that makes it more specific to them, their situation. Okay. Now let's keep going because they're going to respond to that. Now, at this point, let me move this over here for you. Now, at this point, let me show you two scenarios that'll happen, especially if you learn any PQ. Like if you're one of our clients, you already know how to do this. You've already built a massive gap in their mind. So you probably eliminated that objection by 50 to 70%, but still it rears its ugly head here and there. But because you have so much trust, there's a big gap. That alone right there will resolve their concern. And you'll say, well, what do you feel the next step should be? Or, blah, 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 blah. And they're just ready to go. Okay. Now, sometimes they won't be. So sometimes you can't help them overcome that. They're like, I don't know. I just really need to talk with them. You can't overcome it. Okay. What you need to do now is you book an appointment. And then before you leave, I'm going to show you how to ask them a question where you find out the real concern and you're still there to resolve it and still close it. And after that, I'm going to show you the B2B example. It's a little bit different. Okay. Okay. So they're like, I know I need to do something, but I just need to talk with him or I need to talk with her. I understand. What's your time frame on getting back with me today or tomorrow just to see if I'd be available for you? Okay, I understand. What's your time frame on getting back with me in the next day or two to see if I'd be available for them? This is called an NEPQ calendar commitment. Okay. Now, when you say just to see if I'd be available for you, that does what? It positions you as an expert. You're busy. You're not sitting around waiting on their beck and call because you're desperate for sale. You don't need them. Okay. You got lots of clients. You got lots of pipeline. What's your time frame on getting back to me in the next day or two to see if I'd be available for you? Positions you as a higher status. You're busy. Prospect says, well, I could call you back in a few days. They're waffling. Well, I'm not sure I'd be, look here. Let's look here. Well, John, I'm not sure if I'd be randomly available like that with my schedule. What I can do, if it helps you though, is if you have your calendar handy, I can pull up mine so you can book a specific time with me. That way you don't have to chase me down and vice versa. Would that be appropriate or would that help you? That's called a calendar commitment. That way you don't have to what? Chase me down and vice versa. That builds your status. You're busy. You don't want them having to chase you, right? See how that works? We're building a status frame there. With a whole nother training, we could do that. Now, once you actually have the time, okay, so you're booked in, so today's Tuesday, they're booked in with you on Wednesday at 4. You still need to find out their real concern. Because a lot of times if you can't find out their real concern, because I want to talk to my spouse, it's usually not the concern. There's something behind that they want to talk with their spouse about, okay? Usually it's a money objection, but there's sometimes others, okay? Now, here's what you want to do here. You have a book time. They think you're going to leave, so they've let their guard down because they think you're going to leave. So if you're on Zoom or on the phone, they think you're getting off. If you're in their office If you're in their home or their doorstep, they think you're leaving. Okay. Here's where we do this. I'm going to show you this real quick. Make sure you write this down. Very, very important for you. Now, John, before I go, what parts of what we went over do you feel like you need to discuss with Cindy, just so I know what questions you guys have when we talk tomorrow? I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. Now, John, before I go, what parts of what we went over do you feel like you need to talk with Cindy so I know what questions you'll have when we talk tomorrow? What parts of what we went over do you feel like you really need to discuss with Cindy so I know what questions you guys have when we talk tomorrow? Now, why would I ask that? Because whatever they say there is the real objection. Typically, what most people say is, well, I need to discuss with her if we really have the budget for this. Now you know it's a money objection. Do you want to know it's a money objection while you're there to help them overcome it, or hope and pray they both show up the next day? I would say take your chances there to help them overcome the money objection. And worst case scenario, if you still can't help them overcome it, which you should 9 out of 10 times, you have a booked appointment the next day. See how that works? Okay. Now, let's talk about another example. I'm going to give you a few different industry-specific examples, okay? Most of the time, you can help them resolve that concern once they tell you what the real concern is by asking that question at the end. Like I said, if not, you've got a booked appointment the next day. Now, here's a couple different examples. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 B2C, and I'm going to give you 1 or 2 B2B because it's a little bit different. Everything good on the IG phone? Okay. All right. Okay. What are we going to do with you folks? All right. Let's say in this example, got a head cold in here. Okay. In this example, this industry-specific example, let's say that you sell some type of Amazon training or consulting or coaching. You teach people how to start and scale their own Amazon stores. Okay, I'm just going to throw it. This is going to be one example. Then I'm going to give a couple more industry-specific examples that are completely different, but you're going to see how the structure is 100% identical, which is really the cool part. Prospect says, hey, I just really need to talk with my spouse. Okay, what are you going to say? See? Yeah, that's not a problem. How does your spouse feel about you starting your own business so you can make more money with the family? Yeah, that's not a problem. How does he feel about you starting your own business so you can make more money for your kids? If that's what they said they wanted. Let's say they wanted to start their own business where they could make more money and have more time. Notice I'm repeating back what they said they wanted. See how I did that from the generic example? Well, I don't know. Well, okay, but what happens if you go to them and they don't want you to get the funding to put into the business? How would you then be able to make more money at that point? See what I just did there? Well, I'm not really sure. I don't really know. Well, help me understand. If you don't get the funding together, how would you be able to start the business so that you can get out of your job and have more time with your kids? If that's what they said they wanted. See how I'm tying that back in? I'm asking the how-to question. So what happens if you don't get the funding together? How would you be able to even start the business so you can get out of your job and have more time with your kids? Notice how I'm tying in them getting the funding with them getting the result they want. If they can get the funding, they get what they want. If they can't get the funding, they don't get what they want. Notice how I'm getting them to think results-based thinking over price or cost-based thinking. That's very important if you want to make a lot more money than you are now. If you get your prospects into price-based thinking, you get commoditized. You will lose most of the sales that you could be making unless you can get them thinking results-based thinking. That's just a technique to get them in that staying prime. Okay. Now, let's say at that point, you've asked that consequence question and they're still like, yeah, I know I need to do something, but I just need to talk with them. You can't help them overcome it. What do we do next? We book the appointment. Same calendar thing, right? It's the same exact thing. Well, okay. Well, what I can do, if you have your calendar handy, I can pull up mine so you can book a specific time with me in the next day or two. That way you don't have to chase me down and vice versa. Would that help you? You book the time and then you say what? Before you go, before you get off Zoom, before you get off the phone, before you get out of the house, before you get out of their office. Now, hey, before I go, what parts of what we went over do you feel like you need to talk with Dan, just so I know what questions you have and when we talk tomorrow? Well, I'm a little bit concerned and I need to talk with them to see if we really have the time to put into this. Oh, well, now it's a time objection. Now you don't think they have the time. Now I'm there and I can help them overcome the time objection. you see how that works? That's a time objection. It's not a spouse objection. It's really it's what's behind them saying that. Do you see where I'm going from that? Okay. Now, let's say in this example, I'm going to give you a different industry specific example. Okay. All right. In this example, let's say if you sold life insurance or mortgage protection. So you sell coverage that basically protects somebody's mortgage when they have a disability, or let's say that somebody passes away, their other surviving family members are financially protected forever. Okay. Train thousands in this industry as well. Okay. Just like your industry watching me right now. Yeah, I just really like this, but I really need to talk with my spouse. What do you say? Yeah, that's not a problem. How does your spouse feel about you having the financial protection so that you can make the mortgage and the other expenses when something does happen to you? Yeah, it's not a problem. How does your spouse feel about you having the financial protection for the mortgage payment and the other expenses when something does happen to you? Notice how I'm doing what? Repeating back what they said they wanted, which was mortgage protection and having a policy to pay their expenses when one of them passes away, right? Says that you let them answer, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, but what will you do if you go to them and they don't want you to get the extra funds into like a better policy and you don't have the protection, then something happens to you? Okay, but what happens? What will you do if you go to them and she doesn't want you to put the extra funds into the policy so that you're protected? Then something happens to you. What would Cindy and the kids do at that point? Prospect says, gosh, I don't know. I'd have to figure something out. I understand. I guess what will she have to do though if God forbid, you pass away 15 years earlier than you thought, because nobody knows the day or time, right? Then your income's gone, but she still has to pay the mortgage and all the other bills, but doesn't have the money to do that. Like, what would Cindy do at that point? See, that's a what? A consequence question. See how I just did that? Consequence question. NEPQ, consequence question. Okay. Why would I ask a consequence question there? Because I have to get that person or persons to see the consequences of what happens if they don't do anything. If you can't do that, there's no sale made. They're not going to tell you the objection. Process says, I don't know. I just hope that doesn't happen. You can say, well, here, I'm going to show it again. Okay. Well, before that, you could say, well, do you want her to have to go through all that if you didn't have to? Did you hear my tone? Did you hear I said that? You don't want to say, do you want her to have to go through all that if you didn't have to? That's mean. That's aggressive. Now I need to show concern. Would you want her to have to go through all of that if you didn't have to? Showing concern, empathy. Prospect's always going to say, no, I don't want, I know I need to do something. Well, possibly. I guess how many months would Cindy be able to pay the house payment and all the other expenses without your income? See, that's a question to get them thinking. Okay. So how many months would she be able to pay the house payment and all their expenses without your income? Well, I'm not really sure. Well, if you really thought about it, well, I don't know, 3 to 6 months. Was it closer to 3 or is it closer to 6? Oh, it's closer to 3. Okay. So what happens to her and the kids at 3 months though, without having the money? So what happens to her and the kids at that point though? Okay. What does that do? Oh, man, I know I've got to do something. Well, what do you think you should do for them? Okay. Now, if they still come back and they say they still need to talk with their spouse because they're not there, you do what? Plan B, you book the appointment. And then at the end, what do you say? What do you say at the end? What I can do, have the calendar. Now, before I go, same thing. Now, hey, before I go, what parts of what we went over do you feel like you really need to discuss with her just so I know what questions you have when we talk tomorrow? Well, I'm not quite sure if she wants this policy or that policy. Well, that's a different concern than maybe a money objection, right? See, we have to find that out. Okay, let me give you another example. This example is going to be in B2B. So in this example, okay, because we have a lot of people in here that sell B2B as well, okay? It's about 41% of all of our clients sell B2B, 59% sell B2C. That's pretty normal because there's more B2C industries than B2B actually. So in this example, let's say that you sell lead services or marketing services or branding services to small business owners, okay? Now, if you sold to large enterprise accounts, you tweak it a little bit different from the structure I'm about to show you, okay? Prospect says, you know, this sounds really good, but I need to talk with my partners to see what they think. You say, you agree with them. Yeah, that's not a problem. I understand that. Tell me, how does your business partner feel about you guys getting a higher quality lead to your salespeople so you make more sales. Notice I'm repeating back what they said they wanted, a higher quality lead to their sales team so they make more money, right? Remember, you're not selling the thing. In this example, you're not selling leads. You're selling them the results of what that thing does. That's not a problem. How does your business partners feel about you guys getting a higher quality lead to your salespeople so they make more sales for you? Now, obviously, what do you think they're going to say? Well, yeah, I think they would want me to do it, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I think they'd want me to have better leads for sure. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Then you say, well, okay, but what happens if you go to them and they don't want to put the extra funding to get the higher quality leads? And like you said, your sales keep stagnating another 3, 6, 12 months from now. Like, what happens to you guys at that point? Notice I'm asking a consequence question to get the prospect to realize what happens if they don't do anything. Now, in B2B, though, typically they do need to talk with their business partners. That's just reality. If you sell B2B, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you sell large enterprise accounts, it's got to go through legal, it's got to go through other department heads. There's other influencers that you have to, and that's a whole nother training. If you're in our virtual training courses, we teach you all the ins and outs, how to navigate through companies to find out decision makers and influencers to get them all on a Zoom or a call or a boardroom meeting to clamp everybody down, because you have to learn how to do that if you're in B2B. It's a little bit different than B2C. So you're going to have to set up usually another call. You're not going to close them on that spot if you're in B2B most of the time, unless you've already met with them 7 times or something, okay? Well, John, would it help you if we set up a call with your business partners and you to discuss how we might be able to solve X and YZ problems that you brought up? Would that help you if I agree to do that? Would it help you if we set up a call with your business partner and your department head to discuss how this XYZ software would solve A, B, and C challenge? See how we do that? Prospect, yeah, that might help actually. And then you do what? You pull out your calendar and do the calendar commitment. All right? All right. Hope that helped everybody today. That's all I've got for you today, folks. Thank you very much. Now, let me move this around here. All righty. Okay. Now, we'll be going live here in the Facebook group tomorrow. Make sure you join the Facebook group. On Wednesdays, we don't go live on Instagram or IG or LinkedIn, I don't think either, or YouTube. So make sure you join the Facebook group. We're going to have some of our people. What's up, Kate? What's up, Timo? What's up, Kay, Jarami? What's up, guys? So make sure you join our free Facebook group. Every Wednesday, we interview a client from a different industry every single week that makes now at least 30 to 35,000 a month in commissions. That when they started, might have made 3 or 5. Okay, it's got to be like a 5 or 10x return after they've gone through our virtual training courses and our group training for our clients. Okay, many of them are in the same industry as you are. So if you want to be on that interview where we dissect their sales process tomorrow, the person I'm interviewing tomorrow went from making about $5,000 a month. This person makes about 35,000 a month now, and he's only been in our training program for less than a year. Okay. A little bit of a lifestyle change for sure. $5,000 to 30, 35 grand a month is a big deal, especially with inflation. Inflation is not going to get cheaper. It's not going to get cheaper, as we all know. So we're going to post the Facebook group in there so you guys can join that for free. Go to salesrevolution.pro. So go to salesrevolution.pro. I'm going to have Felicia or somebody, or Val, if you could drop that in, salesrevolution.pro. TikTok, just go to salesrevolution.pro. LinkedIn, YouTube, go to salesrevolution.pro, salesrevolution.pro. You can join that for free. Right when you join, check your messenger. Someone on my team will message you over a free training called the NEPQ 101 mini course. And we go live in the group 3 or 4 times a week, a lot more than IG and TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn. Now, if you want to start making a lot more money than you are now, okay, we are training tens of thousands of clients all over the world who are in the same industry as you are now. There's a reason why Inc. magazine ranked 7th level, the fastest growing sales training company in 2020 and in 2021. That's not us saying it. You can look it up online. That's what Inc. says, okay? You have to turn in your revenues. It's not like, oh, we're the awesomest company. You have to turn your revenues to show that, okay? There's a reason why we have almost 11,000 testimonials in the last 2 years from people just like you, same industries as you are. So you want to acquire those same skills. You want to learn how to work with human behavior where you learn how to get your prospects to pull you in rather than you trying to push and pressure, because nobody likes that and it doesn't work that well, right? Just that you don't make that much money. You want to acquire those skills. You want to start making your first 10 grand a month in commissions in your industry. Or let's say that you want to start making your first 15 or your first 20 grand a month or your first 30 grand a month with what you sell now, even more. We have people in your industry that probably make 40 and 50,000 a month or more now. You want to acquire those skills? Message me directly right now. Okay. Is that a Gucci shirt, dude? No, it's not Gucci. It's just Hugo Boss. You know me, I'm the cheap guy, Val. Just buy Hugo Boss shirts. I don't like the Gucci shirts. I'm not cool enough for those. Marco is though. You know Marco wears the Gucci. Marco's our chief revenue officer, everybody. All right. So if you're in IG or TikTok, message me directly right now. If you're in LinkedIn, the Facebook groups, the Facebook business page, or my personal Facebook, message me directly right now. If you're on YouTube, you're going to have to join the free Facebook group because you won't be able to message me on YouTube. Okay. Or if you guys are an old guy like me and you can't figure out social media, how to DM me, in the comment section, just post hashtag NEPQ, post hashtag NEPQ. And then either myself or someone on our team will message you different training options that we have for your industry. If you want to double, triple, I'm dead serious when I say this, quadruple or more what you are making now. Because I can assure you, we are training salespeople in your industry and companies that make that every single freaking month, like clockwork. Easy once you acquire the right skills. All right, peace and love, and joy and happiness. I will see everybody tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern in our Facebook group. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay out of trouble. TikTok, get out of here. You guys be good. Okay, Facebook group, Facebook group, YouTube, LinkedIn. We love you too. See you tomorrow on the Facebook group. Don't be late. Message me directly now if you want to make more sales. If you don't want to make more sales, you don't have to.